It's 12 minutes past 10 o'clock Central African time. It's time for our In the Cubicle feature, where we get in the cubicle literally and we try to sort out the things that have to do with the workplace. How do we become better employers? How do we become better employees? How do we navigate even the challenges of the workplace environment? The line between constructive and harassment can often be blurred, leaving both employees and employers offering really an unsure kind of situation, and you don't know what constitutes acceptable feedback then. Constructive criticism is so amazing because when delivered appropriately is a valuable tool for growth, offering insight, support, and guidance for improvement. However, when feedback crosses into personal attack or demeaning language, it can quickly shift from being helpful to harmful, ultimately resulting in workplace harassment. Today, we're joined on the line by Segofalang Nagafela-Bibiza on the line, joining us from Botswana, a human resource consultant. Segofalang, thank you for joining us here on Channel Africa.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's always good to have you. Let's talk a little bit about critical feedback. What do we mean by critical feedback?
In the workplace, as you are working with people, you are always going to be getting feedback. There are going to be times whereby you have not done something right, but the way it is delivered to you, how someone gives you that feedback, either breaks you or make you. So it is very important to understand that your feedback can either have a negative impact or it can be destructive to someone and make them fail to correct whatever that needed to be corrected.
Yeah.
So it is very critical to understand the impact of your feedback. It is very important to know the intent of the feedback you're giving someone.
Sure. You know, many people get defensive when it's time for them to be criticized. And I'm using criticize from that point of view of positive criticism, right? And they don't
Yes.
receive criticism generally very well. How do you deal with that? Because it's not easy being told that, you know what, we were expecting this from you, but you didn't deliver the way that we were hoping that you would deliver, and not being hurt by it. Many people really give also terrible responses to being critically critiqued by their senior managers.
I think it all depends on an individual. There are people who just cannot take it when you tell them they did something wrong. They always want to believe whatever they did is the best, that they are right,
Mm-hmm.
and no one has a right to tell them otherwise. So it's all about who the person is, because some people will be projecting their own insecurities
Yeah.
as you try to show them the way. Same as the people who dish their criticism. How you dish it depends on what you are projecting. If you're an insecure person, you are going to be projecting your insecurities on other people. But someone who's content with themselves, they know how to positively criticize someone, how to make sure that their criticism is building and not destructive. So it's all
Mm.
about what's inside of you. What's inside is what you're going to dish out, and what's inside of you is going to determine how you take uh, um, what other people are saying to you about how you performed.
You know, Segofalang, there's a term that I think that we've normalized that isn't actually normal, and that's the term of brutal honesty, right? Criticism
Yeah.
or feedback does need to be honest so that the person can understand the landscape, but it doesn't actually have to be brutal, which is something that I think we've normalized a little too much. And that brutality of the honesty can actually cross the line into harassment. Let's speak a little bit about that. Does the criticism have to be brutally honest or just honest?
I think people are confusing being brutally honest and being disrespectful in your honesty.
Right.
Those are two different things. I can be brutally honest with you while being very respectful, choosing the right words, choosing the right tone of my voice while I'm telling you the truth. But then they can also be me telling you the truth about what you did, but being disrespectful and using a tone that is really off, a tone that is telling me that, you know what, this is war. So there's a difference. You can be brutally honest, but be very respectful, and you choose the right words. Or you can be brutally honest, what they usually mean, by disrespecting people in the process. So that's the difference.
Yeah, there's a thin line though, right? Because feedback,
Yeah.
as we've been saying, is important in any organization for you to know the things that you need to change, you need to adjust, and how you can be better at the work that you do. But sometimes it's hard to recognize the tone of someone and whether or not it's crossed the line. Let's look at that. Some of the key differences between constructive criticism and workplace harassment.
I think one of the things we need to also pay attention to and note is that most of the time these people who are giving each other feedback are people who have their own work relationships there. So sometimes it depends on who is dishing it and how your relationship have been. You'll find that there's a certain supervisor who has an off relationship with a certain subordinate, so the way they criticize them is not the same as the way they criticize the other one. So most of the time these things are dependent on the relationships that already exists between those people.
And that relationship is important because interrelations in the workplace are what keep the workplace going. We can't just all just do
Yes.
our own things in
Sure.
our own corners and pretend
Yep.
like the environment can live without that. And also, it's also hard for us to look at our jobs critically sometimes. So you do need feedback from others. So how can you tell? I mean, how can you tell if this person is essentially giving you proper feedback or criticism on the work that you do, or if it also has a personal vendetta that is attached to it? That's what we're going to be speaking about after our break. So stay with us on the line. I just want you to keep that in mind so long. And for you listening to this conversation, participate in our On the Move poll where we are discussing this conversation at Channel Africa 1 on X. We're asking you the question, what makes feedback cross the line into workplace harassment? Is it the tone and delivery? Is it personal attacks? Is it targeting? Is it the frequency of the criticism? Or does it come with no guidance? Let us know at Channel Africa 1 and let's hear what you have to say as well. We'll continue this conversation with Segofalang after this.
The Midnight Snack, 12 to 3 a.m.
Our fitness coach, her name is Yvonne Dimakatso Pasha. How to remain consistent with gyms, Dima, and I'm going to put you on the spot right now. As we are talking, I will send you my picture and I want you to tell me what you think I should work on. Because, you know, when I look at myself, Dima, I think I'm very handsome. I'm so good looking. Oh my goodness. Like here at Channel Africa where I work, I think I'm one of the most good looking people ever. Like sometimes when I look at myself in the mirror, I never get used to how good I look. I'm just amazing.
You're okay with the way you're looking. You wish people could and now you want to put me on the spot.
Do I need gym?
Yeah. I mean, if you can just consider eating healthy, cutting down a few foodstuffs such as junk.
The Midnight Snack, every Monday, 12 to 3 a.m. with Chanduko Ligege.
9 to 12 midday, Central African Time.
On the Move with Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama.
How can you tell that workplace criticism or positive feedback has crossed the line into workplace harassment? That's the conversation we're having in the cubicle today. Segofalang Nagafela-Bibiza, human resources consultant based in Botswana, continues to have this conversation with us. Let's come back to that, right? Not all of us receive the same feedback in the same way. That means that it's going to be really hard to sometimes tell that the person giving you criticism or feedback has crossed the line. What are some of the key telltale signs that this particular feedback might be crossing the line a little bit to harassment?
One of the things that would show you that the person has intentions to give you positive feedback is that, no, positive criticism, is that they will tell you the solutions. They will tell you, I expected you to do the report this way, and they will show you, this is how I expect you to do it. They will guide you on the expectations they have on you. But the most of the negative criticism that it comes with someone telling you that you failed to do something, and then they go on to attack maybe how you look, how you dress, how you talk, just things that are not relevant to anything that had to do with what you're discussing. So if you're going to be
Segofalang, are you still there? Okay, we seem to have lost Segofalang on the line there. Let's try and get her back really quickly so we can go on this one.
Yeah.
It is a fine line, right? Because also, Benji,
Yeah.
between you and I or anybody else in an organization,
Sure.
how I would receive something might be very different from how you'd receive it. So you might be sitting there feeling like, I feel harassed.
Mm-hmm.
And someone else saying, no, that's fine. That's exactly how this person criticizes or gives feedback.
Yeah.
So that's okay. Is it also something that we should, be cognizant of, the fact that we're not receiving the feedback in the same way?
Yeah, I mean, we all have different filters, right? And we all have a different kind of emotional intelligence when it comes to how we take feedback, right? So it's either you investigating your own response at that particular moment. So usually I always think through what I'm feeling when I get critical responses towards me. I'll ask myself, while I'm getting that response from someone, why am I feeling like this?
Yeah.
Why am I feeling uncertain? Why am I feeling uncomfortable? And I probably will get an answer very soon as I ask myself the questions. I'm like, I'm feeling bad because this is about me.
Yeah.
That's usually when I know that, okay, then calm down. It is about you. It's something that's close to your heart. Listen, continue to listen, and then see how the situation unfolds. I think because critical feedback is really about the things that we care about, which is our work, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why it's not easy to take.
Well, we have Segofalang back on the line. Are you there, Segofalang?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. It's good to have you back. We were not able to hear your entire response, so if you can just take it from the top for us, please.
Okay. I was saying, part of the positive criticism needs to include you guiding me on what you expected from me. If maybe you are criticizing a report that I submitted to you, you need to be able to demonstrate how you expected me to do it. Because what happens after you criticize me? How am I going back and making sure that I meet your expectations if you cannot demonstrate to me how you expected me to do it? So you need to be able to build the intention of your criticism to build me, to add value onto what I was doing.
Yeah.
If you're just criticizing and you fail to add value to what I was doing, then your criticism did not have any good intention. But
Yeah.
we have situations whereby you are criticizing me and you are bringing things that don't matter to the workplace. You're talking about how I dress, you're talking about how I look, my body, my makeup,
Yeah.
or even my home situation. It becomes part of the whole criticism. You'll be like, the reason why you fail to do this is because you're always wearing heavy makeup. You're spending so much time on your face. You're spending so much time at the gym while you should be focusing on your work. You see?
Yeah.
Those are some of the things that we see.
Yeah, I mean, there are power dynamics that are involved here, and the difficulties saying that, I am the employed one here. I'm the employee. This is my employer, and they have a much more superior position here, and probably they have license to do what they are doing. That's what most of us feel, even if probably that's very wrong, right? To think just because someone is superior, they can treat you however. That's not how life works. How do you engage then with those subtle undertones or maybe those abrasive ways of dealing with a situation where you are being criticized? Because it's not easy for you to approach your senior and say, look, I don't like how you spoke to me there.
Unfortunately, we have very diverse workplaces. There are workplaces whereby people have somewhere to go if they have an issue. And then there are situations whereby the person who is criticizing you is really the last person. There's no one above them. So if they have said something that is the CEO, where else do you go? You don't even have access to the board. But in situations whereby everything is in place and everything is healthy, you need to be able to talk to that person, tell them, I don't like how you spoke to me. But if you feel like you're very uncomfortable doing it, you need to be able to tell another senior person that, so and so gave me feedback on 1, 2, 3. This is what he said. This is how it made me feel. Can you intervene so that we have a discussion around that?
You know, workplace harassment can also have a huge impact on the mental health of those people being harassed, especially if that harassment or that criticism that is cloaked in harassment takes place very, very frequently. Sometimes that person might even feel like they don't actually want to go to work anymore because they know what they're expecting there. How far can you take something like this? Does a person who feels like they're being harassed through this criticism at work, do they have a place to go? Do they have a case within the workplace? Or is it sometimes better to just let it go and leave?
I think that is something I went through while I was still working in government. I had the same
I'm sorry that you went through
situation.
that.
Yeah, I had the same situation, same to depression, medication, and whatnot. So I went through, by the time I took action, it was too late. I was already dealing with mental health issues. But I went to people higher than her, but they were in at the headquarters because I was at a different department. So they managed to help. They moved me from where she was so that I can go into a totally different department. And nowadays, what they have done in Botswana is that now there are laws that say if you ever get into any mental health diseases because of harassment in the workplace, whereby you end up maybe resigning and leaving your job, now you have a case. You can go lodge a case with lawyers, and that person or that department, action can be taken against them. But back in the days, it did not exist. At the time I went through it, it did not exist. So that is how I went into mental health activism also, because it was me trying to fight to survive that and teaching other people about that. It's a very serious thing that happens, and I've been through that and I understand it very well.
Well, we'll have to wrap it up there. And I think it's a great way to wrap it up because it shows the big impacts that, the criticism or the harassment can have on the individual themselves, but also in the organization as well.
Yeah, well, let's stay in that conversation on our X handle at Channel Africa One. Remember, we're asking you what makes feedback cross the line into workplace harassment. So far, 75% of you are saying personal attacks, while 25% are saying tone and delivery. So, what's your thought? We also have other options there: frequency and no guidance. So you can continue that conversation happening there.
Segofalang, thank you so much for your time. Human resources consultant based in Botswana, Segofalang Nagafela-Bibiza, speaking to us about the fine line between constructive criticism in the workplace and harassment in our In the Cubicle feature right here on The Move. It's 10:30 Central Africa time. Let's bring back Musi Budi Makura for our latest sports.
Sports on Channel Africa.
The African Perspective.